Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. All right, here we go. All right. Welcome to Inside the 18 live from my bunker in Palm Desert, California for probably at least another week. I'm Michael Magid. With me is 99 World Cup winner Saskia Weber, Omar Zini, which I tried to say Instagram sensation. Wait, hold on. What are you going with now?
I'm getting one right now. Don't worry. Keep going.
You're getting a virtual broker. Pro GK Academy, Omar Zini. And joining us today is New England Revolution 2 goalkeeper coach Yuta Nomura, who honestly, man, this is really cool because you literally reached out and you're like, hey, man, love what you guys are doing. Would love to do the show sometime. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely, man. Let's have you on. And you're like, oh, I'd be honored to be on. I'm like, oh, I'm pretty sure you've only heard a couple episodes then.
If that's, like sitting here going, I gotta brush up on my Japanese. I was looking for my gear. I'm like, oh my God. I got my Jordan on though. We got it.
Look at that. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, I've been listening to Inside 18 like really, I think, when was it? I think 2018 when I came back to the States and I found out Inside 18 and I was like, wow, I love this, like what you guys talk about. And I feel in love with it.
Dude, that's so awesome, man. That is so cool because, like, you know, sometimes when you hear people go like, hey, man, I'd love to, I'm really big fan. I'd love to do your show. And then you're like, oh, yeah. So which is your favorite episode? You're like, oh, the one you just did last week. And I'm like,
Yeah, there's like so many episodes that I listen to, like World Cup and I think there was a Copa America and obviously John Bush, Todd, Dittmar. There's so many shows that I listen to. And
you're like a real fan. This is awesome. He's like a real, you're like a real insider. I love this, man.
He's like legit. So
yeah. He's like naming episodes I don't even remember. I'm like,
was I on that one? I was like,
when did that?
I got the message from Michael. I was like, wow, this is such an honor. And obviously, talking with Omar and obviously Saskia and yeah.
Oh my gosh, man.
Well, for me, it's a treat personally because you bring me back to my 3 years of pro in Japan, and just like even that concept and what that gave to me, it put me on the U.S. national team. Period. It put me on the 9-9 team, and my time there and training there, and just that experience for me was everything. And I got to go.
Totally different, isn't it?
It was amazing, and just the focus on technique and just like Michael, you guys, and Omar, you guys just understand. It was like I walked in there. I'll tell you. So I walked in there, and I'm with my coach, and he's like, "Okay, like we're working on like distribution." He's like, "Okay," and I'm like, I was a great, and I'm throwing the ball to midfield, one arm. He's like, "Good, do it with your left." And I go, "What?" I go, "Why do I have to throw the ball left-handed?" And he goes, "Because it's balance. Like your body has to be balanced." So all of a sudden, I can throw the ball now to midfield my left hand as well as I can my right. Like it's amazing. It's just the thought process. That's why they won the World Cup.
Wow, that's amazing. That's so cool. Now, so Yuta, can you side volley just as well with your left foot as you can with your right foot?
Yeah, that's something I've been working on too. Like when I was, my side volley, it's okay level now, but back in.
Wait, hold on. It's okay, dude. It's awesome. Are you kidding me? I was watching like some of your side volleys. They're ridiculous, and people literally on Twitter they're like, "Have you seen Yuta's side volley?"
Yeah, but I've been literally walking on it since I was 15, 14, and right foot, left foot. And obviously my left foot side volley isn't as good as my right foot, but obviously I can hit it and decent.
But it's amazing because that's the Japanese, they focus, from my experience, they focus so much on those things that I think we kind of brush off as Americans. We're like, okay, your strong foot's your right foot, whatever. But it is truly about balance in your body. And it's like, if I can throw that, I should be able to do both. It's balance of muscle strength, of fitness, of everything. And I learned that while I was there. It's incredible.
Omar, you've been working on your weak foot quite a bit. And so basically I think you need to go to Japan to see if you can put your money where your mouth is, dude.
No, I've been doing, honestly, the way I've been preaching it to my kids and just get a lot of reps in. And it's obviously when you say that to kids, you have to kind of follow that same model. And I've been doing a lot of just getting my kicks up in the air. So some short little shots here and there, but for the most part, I'm working on it on crosses. And once I can get my crosses up to a certain height and certain level, then I start doing a little bit more technical stuff. So I'm getting better at it, but it's definitely weird. Like I just stepping on my right foot, hitting on my left sometimes is just it's in short spaces. It's so weird to me. My body's just not used to it, and I haven't done it for so long. So I think I was able to get away with it in college, and yeah, it's caught up to me. But we're still young, and it's important to get those little tweaks out now. And then as you get older, kind of you grow into it a little bit more. But yeah.
Yeah, but Omar, you said it, and the thing about that is if you can get that down, if you're training a goalkeeper and you can go onto the right, and you can bend a ball in from your left foot, and you can go and bend a ball in from your right foot if you're working on crosses, and you can do the opposite and use both feet. It's awesome. Like that's it's incredible to have that talent. And I'm gonna be dead honest. No, my left foot's not that good. I can throw. My left foot's not that good. But to be able to do that and utilize both options is incredible.
You guys want to see? I'm editing a video.
Wait, is this gonna be a sneak preview, dude? You're gonna share screen, or you gonna show everybody, or is this just for us?
Just for you guys. Let me see. Can you guys see?
Yeah,
we can see.
We can see.
Okay. You can see my left foot coming in right here. Oh, press play.
Wait.
He's super stoked. Watch this.
Oh, you're not the jack dude.
Nice.
Look at that. One more time.
That's your service, right?
That's the one. I close my eyes and I lean back.
I close my eyes. And on artificial turf. Well done.
I know. It's just getting. That's what I tell kids all the time too. They're like, "How do I work on my distribution?" I'm like, "Just get it up in the air first. Get confident with clearing heads, and once you can clear a head, then after that, you start getting better and better." And the only reason why I remember that is because 2000. I forget what year, but I was under 11. We were in the State Cup quarterfinals, and I had one of my defenders take my goal kicks. He struck it right. Yeah, no, I was young. I mean, I didn't know. I was nervous because I used to toe poke the ball too, so I was embarrassed. The new team and all this. And I had my defender take the goal kick. He hit it right to the forward who was on top of the 18, who was just waiting there. Hit it right at the guy's leg. The guy controlled it and shot it and scored. And after that, my coach said, that's the last time I ever see anybody take one of your goal kicks. This is what you need to do. And then he started teaching me how to hit the ball, get under it, and I got better and better. But sometimes you have to go through those like traumatic experiences to have foresight of what you need to get done.
I gotta give a quick shout out right now because nurses mean everything to us right now and are taking care of it. Shannon Gordon went back to work today. My best friend in the entire world, everything to me, and she's a nurse. And stay safe, please. Stay safe.
Is she watching?
Hold on. She is watching. Okay. That's how she's in the comments right now. Shout out to Shannon.
Comments. What's up, Shan? Stay safe, please.
Yes. Good. Stay safe. And honestly, for every first responder out there, I mean, you guys have been doing the work that a lot of us are just taking take for granted, to be honest with you. You go to that supermarket and you don't recognize that person's been working there that entire day, or you go to the hospital and you don't realize that nurse has been there that entire day around people that have been ill and stuff like that. So that's absolutely fantastic. We give them a little bit of love.
Absolutely. You'll love this. I'll tell you really quick. There was a nurse that came out of Cedars last week, and she was solely like tired and everything. I washed her car for her the next day. And I just left the note. Yeah, because all the birds had pooped all over her car and stuff like that. And she was like totally like, she was so tired and she was kind of out of her mind. She's like, seriously, and I happened to be outside. So the next day I went out and I detailed her car for her and lifted her up. Because I was just like, thank you, one more thing off your plate. I mean, you're putting yourself out there, Yeah.
I honestly didn't know how to follow that up because that's just a beautiful story. And I literally Stan Anderson at the same time comments, "Hey, what's the deal with Winnie the Pooh for Yuta here?" So why don't you tell us a little bit about Winnie the Pooh?
So when I had the Instagram live with the Stan, he asked me who's my split character is, and I don't know. I really like Winnie the Pooh, and just because Pooh is really genuine and kind, and he doesn't really show his emotion to, his friend and anyone, but he cares about his friends and he does everything what his friend needs. So I want to be like, I want to be like Winnie the Pooh, and that's what I told him. And Stan was like, okay, you got to change your, Instagram account name.
Well, that's where that came from. That's
Right.
where your Instagram handle is. Okay, wait. So that I didn't realize that was so recent. I was just like, oh, this must be like an inside joke that goes all the way back to either Japan or
No. It literally like a few weeks ago.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I consider myself more of a Tigger. I bounce around all the time. I think Saskia's definitely a Tigger for sure.
Absolutely, Tigger. Absolutely.
Well, let's get into this, guys. Let's get into today's coaching topic, because talking about different styles, we're talking about Winnie the Pooh, we're talking about Tigger. Hopefully there's no Eeyores here right now. Maybe we got a Piglet. I don't know.
I have no problem with Eeyore or Piglet.
Well,
everybody needs that calming friend.
That's true. But from a coaching style, I don't know if you want an Eeyore from a coaching style. Today's topic, guys, is finding your coaching style. This is something that we've been actually chatting about, and I thought it was really cool to have a bunch of people from different backgrounds who had different experiences, and to talk about kind of like what makes you the coach that you are, and like how do you find, because I think one of the problems that a lot of kids have is like when they first start off in goalkeeper coaching is they're trying to emulate somebody else rather than find what their style is and who they are. So does anybody here kind of want to break down what a coaching style is first off, for some of the parents might be listening?
Well, I don't necessarily. I mean, I think we have a style. I think you, myself, Omar, I think like we've been brought up in a certain style and everything. But I think the thing that makes us different is that we adapt to the changing times. So I would never like to pigeonhole myself and say, I have this coaching style and this is it. You know what I mean? Like, what's a K stance? What are you doing? You know what I mean? You should come up with your hands down. Like, everything is up for interpretation and everything can be changed. Anton Darns told me this once, and I'm not sure if he's listening, but Anton Darns said he was putting up a play and stuff like that on the board, and he said, if you can ever come up to me and explain to me why I should do this differently and explain to me why your way is better, then I'll do your way. And so I kind of listen to that. Like, I open myself up and I'm just like, all right, I got to change with the times. Look, I'm old and my style doesn't work anymore sometimes with the changing of the style of soccer, the pace of soccer, the speed of the women's game, the size of the women. So I have to adapt to that as well. So to say I have one coaching style, I would say I'm open for interpretation.
Yeah. Yuta, Omar, anything you guys want to add to that?
Yeah, I think it's like what Saskia said. I think it's how you communicate, how you interact with your goalkeepers, and obviously different culture has different coaching style, different cultures, different styles. So I think it's important for you to find what works best for you, and some coaching style doesn't work for you. So I think it's important for us to know what coaching style you want to go for. And yeah.
Omar?
But with you, do you find that also, because with the revolution and stuff like that, when you're getting a higher level player,
mm-hmm.
you kind of have to work with that as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, and then also, New England Revolution, there's so many great coaches in the facility, in the office, and I wouldn't say every single coach has the same coaching style, but they're having a similar coaching style, and that obviously I can learn so much from them, whether they're in academy side or second team side or the first team side. Yeah.
I think
No, go ahead, Omar.
No, I think for example, I think the biggest thing that I've taken from this whole quarantine time and having these different conversations with coaches is that it's just those different personality traits that you can bring to a session. So like for example, for me, sometimes people ask me what's my coaching style. I feel like that's more towards my temperament and what I stop the session for. And obviously, like we've been saying, is that there are different techniques that, as Saskia said, like you can't really drill in. There's no absolutes in goalkeeping. You can't tell a goalkeeper they have to do this, because obviously, like we said, you can't compare two different goalkeepers in the same group because of their body types, what their instinctual reactions are to certain moments. So everyone has their own way of dealing with things. So I think it's, as a coach, your personality is super important as to what you let go, what you stop, and the importance of obviously flowing of a session. And so that's to me, like even listening to Tim Dittmer, for example, something as simple as, when the young goalkeepers go to get some water, leave them with a thought and say, hey, what would you do differently? Or we're going to do 1v1s. Can you guys discuss the 2 or 3 things about 1v1s that you feel are going to be super important to remember once we step into this little segment? So now it's not even you coaching, but your personality to allow these young goalkeepers the platform to think on their own and understand the game from their own perspective, their own lens. That I think is also a coaching style, which is important to kind of tie into what your personality is.
Yeah.
but I also think a good example is what we were talking about earlier, is that like here I am like ingrained with coming from Blodgett, coming from Mulqueen, coming from a Franz Hook. Like that was my coaching background. And then I go and I play pro for the first time. I play in Japan. And now I'm learning a whole new thing about my body being balanced and being able to do as much as I can from the right arm that I can from the left arm, and so on and so forth. And I think that all, like, you have to keep learning as a coach.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I think I think that's incredibly. One thing I wanted to say in regards to what Omar was saying in regards to temperament is that when people ask me, it's a weird question when people ask you what your coaching style is, because you don't want to hold yourself as a specific, because the thing is that, like you're saying, the game keeps evolving. I've recognized that my coaching style has been changing as I've been changing as a human being, and that my coaching style now at the end of quarantine is, well, I hope the end of quarantine is different than it was at the beginning of quarantine. And by that, I mean just little slight variations just from all these types of conversations that we're having. I'm much more about asking my goalkeepers why we're doing something rather than what are they doing.
We're just doing it.
Yeah, well, just doing it, in my opinion. I mean, we can talk about that later in regards to is there a right or wrong way to coach a goalkeeper. But Yuta, do you feel that your attention to detail, I mean, it seems like from what I've watched on your Twitter and stuff like that, you're pretty meticulous about details anyway. But do you feel that you've got even more detailed with your coaching style during the quarantine?
I think so. And also, talking to different coaches and hearing from, different pro coaches in States, Sweden. And I talked to a coach from Japan, and they all are really attention to detail. And even I'm like, 1.5 years in this field for coaching. And that gave my eye open a lot. Like what I've been doing was right. But at the same time, they gave me a lot of tips and advice that what I need to focus on. And so absolutely, like, I think attention to detail is important. And
I agree with you. Michael was awesome enough to come on to a Bulls training session we had the other Friday, and then I
was terrified. I was terrified I was going to do a bad job, and Saskia was going to be like, this was a disaster.
No, you did great. But then you dropped on the next day for like analysis. And when we did the Timmy Howard 16 saves against Belgium, we did the analysis. Like, you taught me, like, honestly, Mike, like I sat there going, okay, I'm going to go over like what I saw, but the level that you brought that analysis to, like, taught me in that moment. And I was like, I'm going to let Michael talk because I sound like an idiot right now. But that's what, if you're not open to that as a coach, no matter how old you are and everything like that, like, then you might as well take a break, because like,
absolutely.
Like, I now look at every video I send to the kids, I look at it in a totally different perspective because of the way Michael broke it down. And I'm like, I need to break this down at a higher level. Like, I thought like I was doing fine, and he just took me to a whole nother level. And so you have to be open to that, period.
Yeah, definitely. And then obviously Omar and Michael, you guys have been, inviting a lot of different coaches, and since the quarantine started, I've started listening to most of, the podcasts that you guys been doing it. And then I've just finished the second notebook. I took a bunch of notes and trying to, listen to what the other says, and also try to implement what I want to do it. So definitely, like, I feel like I'm getting better and better as knowledge-wise.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to go back on the field.
I think, oh my God.
I think we all can't wait to get back on the field. Omar, I want to talk to you about this because we've talked about different coaching influences on the show quite a bit, and you've had a lot of different coaching influences, and some positive, some negative. What do you think are the influences that kind of determine your coaching style? Is it because some people think it's just like the goalkeeper coaches you've had in the past, other people think it's the environment that you played in. What do you think it is?
Yeah, obviously, I think every coach has their own priorities and non-negotiables of what you can and can't do in terms of technique. And I think that is obviously their coaching style and how they see the position aesthetically and what they kind of feel has worked for them in their playing career and what coaches have taught them. So I think, I always took what they said and tried to implement it and try to put it into my game. But as I've gotten older now, I've realized that I remembered a lot more about how, I talked about my Galaxy goalkeeper coach, how he managed me in certain situations and how I would try to manage my goalkeepers in those same situations as well. So, this past year at Cal State LA, our goalkeeper made a mistake, and my coach at Davis didn't really say anything negative. He would come up to me and say, "Hey, what happened? What did you see?" Galaxy, it was more of like, that can never happen in the professional game. You need to really fix that right away. So both worked, and both they sent their message the right way. One was, hey, if you want to play professional level, you need to be better. And the other one was, tell me what you saw so we can get better. So they both were trying to lead me to get better. But now, obviously, as I've gotten older, I realized, okay, how can I do the same exact messaging, but how can I manage the situation with my own personality and figure out a way that had my own little touch to it. So I try to take all the little things that I learned from my coaches, technically, tactically, but now at the same time too, as a manager, and figuring out how to bottle messages based on the personalities that I'm dealing with.
Absolutely, and I 100% agree. I think every keeper is different. So, some keepers respond to, breaking it down, not yelling at, not joysticking, not yelling at them, bringing them in, saying, after like a break or a water break, saying, break this down for me and talk. Other keepers respond to, yelling at them. I'm not that person, but and so you really have to come to learn who you're training and how their personalities are and how they react and how they don't react, and what shuts them down and what pumps them up. And every person's different, and it's a lot, but hey, we're coaches and we're teachers, and that's what you have to deal with.
You just brought up a really good point, and Yuta, I want to ask you about this because you've gone from the college game. By the way, I love the fact I couldn't believe it when you were like, yeah, I've been coaching for a year and a half. I'm like, dude, you've gone from the college game to the pro game.
I heard that.
I'm like, so like you're gonna.
I've been doing this for a year and a half.
I've been doing this since I started. Very simple. Just started at the youth club, and then a year and a half later, I'm at the pro level already. But obviously, because of that, you've understood how to work with different types of people. Do you feel your coaching style changes based on who you're working with?
I don't think I have changed.
Okay.
Just I don't know, like maybe the environment has changed, but what I believe in and my philosophy hasn't changed. And obviously, when I came back to the States 2018, I had my vision, I had my goal, and I still have the same vision and goal. So, and also, college goalkeeper, they're more like, I wouldn't say pro, but almost there,
Yeah.
So.
Well, but I'm going to interrupt because I think there's a difference between your style and your philosophy and a difference between how to handle individuals. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
You can implement your style and your philosophy, but how to handle college goalkeepers we're talking about right now, and how to handle this is different. Your style and your philosophy doesn't change, but how to handle the individual it differs, in my opinion.
Yeah. Omar, Omar, any thoughts on that?
No, I mean, to grow on Yuta's point, I think I'm the same way. Like my intention has always been the same of obviously you want to, give the goalkeepers the best advice and give them, obviously what you think is the best way to accomplish the position, which is obviously keeping the ball in the net. But also too, I think the difference, and, Mike and I, you and I have talked about this, is that with the younger goalkeepers, it's very, technical foundations and technical base at the beginning. And then now that I'm in college, it's more about what are my coaching points to help this goalkeeper be ready for those 20 games in the season. So like I do focus on technique and I do focus on, man management, but it's a little bit different in a college season when you have 20 games and your messaging has to change a little bit, because if you obviously have a session with a younger goalkeeper, you can be a little bit more tough on them, because you could say, look, that needs to be cleaned up ASAP. And then you have a goalkeeper who makes a mistake or something happens. You have to take into account the psyche and, what they may have been going through. And you have to kind of get a lot more intel as to how to bottle that message. Whereas this younger goalkeeper is probably going to be, they have more room to grow. This goalkeeper has a day before the next game. So to me, it's just like, you guys have been saying, it's just kind of adaptability and being able to maneuver and adjust with the different personalities.
I want to bring up the age thing, because I'm really glad that you brought up the age thing, because I feel that personally, and I don't know how you guys all feel, I feel like I coach differently based on the age group. And I don't mean differently as in like the content, but I mean as in the way I try to convey information, the way that I try to get it direct. And I think one of the issues that a lot of coaches out there, when we're talking about, right way to coach, wrong way to coach, whatever, is that a lot of coaches coach a 9-year-old the same way they coach a 29-year-old. And you can't. You need to understand the human being that you're dealing with first in regards to their level of development, as we spoke about with Peter Meller and Matt Brown in regards to adolescence and also the phases of youth development too. Does anybody here have any experiences they've had where they've recognized that, oh, you know what, this might be a little bit over the head of this age group? Oh, no.
You froze.
Who froze?
You
I froze? Oh, was I frozen that whole time?
You were for a little bit.
Okay. I was like, hold on. I said like 4 minutes worth of
We're
stuff.
all like this. No, I think on my side, I think that, yes, it's very different. Doing club, working with little kids up to kids that are in high school and then wanting to go to college, and now working with college players and stuff. I think that, yes, you do have to handle it different. And yes, there are different ways, but this is going to go away from, I know we want to focus on, we train a certain way, I coach a certain way, I teach a certain way. Look, I have a philosophy, I teach it, whether you're, and when you're young, handling and set position and body position and weight forward, all that won't change. But as you're going through this ebb and flow of kids and then growing up, and now I have kids that, now the dynamic changes. Like now all of a sudden you're like, so-and-so, why aren't you performing? Like, you know what you're doing, and there's something on the side. Like, and we can't like negate that, especially with everything we're going through. Like I got a kid that's crying because they're being bullied. It has nothing to do with the fact they can't catch an upper 90 shot, and so like we have to be human in that regard. Like it's not going to change my philosophy on how I'm coaching them and what I'm trying to teach them. And if they're on their heels and they're supposed to be body weight forward, but it is the fact that life is going on, like we're dealing with that right now.
Yuta, do you change your approach when you're working with youth?
Yeah. So when I was in Arkansas, I created my goalkeeper academy called Sidewinder, and we had a goalkeeper from 5 years old to 16, 17 years old. So obviously I have to change the way I coach, I talk to those little ones to almost high school, senior, junior goalkeeper. And obviously I expect a lot from them, but at the same time, when it comes to 5 years old to probably like 10, 12 years old, I just want them to have fun. I want them to find, joy for this, sport. Yep. And then when it comes to 15 to 18, I want to push them as much as I can. And, and obviously you have to know their personality as well. Sometimes like the way that I say it doesn't work. So I have to be really careful with who I'm working with. And so that's something a little bit different from Japan. So when I was in high school or middle school, I was in, a little bit of kind of top of the top of club in Japan. So expectation was really high. So whenever I do something and my coach didn't like it, he always straight up to me and told me, Yuta, you're shit. But at the same time, he was like, okay, we're gonna get through this.
Did you and Omar have the same coach? Did he just fly to Japan? Is that what happened?
Did you have the same?
No. Very similar, yeah. Very similar.
Yeah, but
yeah,
definitely even though he told me that I was shit, but he was always there for me. He wanted to work with me, and he said, "This is gonna get you to the next level." So,
yeah.
No, I totally agree with you, and we have to take that into context because with the younger kids, look, like if we've all coached those kids, and number one, if they're playing in a goal that's way too high for them, and everybody's shooting high, and the end of the game is like 8 to 9. We have to be able to talk to them. We have to be able to explain to them that we get it. You know what I mean? Like we get their positioning was great. You did this great and stuff like that. This happened, it is what it is, because we want them to enjoy it. I totally agree with you. We want them to be happy and enjoy what they're doing. It's a hard position. We're in a crappy position, you guys. We're getting scored on. You're not the hero that much. And so, little kids have to grow up knowing that it's okay. And then once they get older, knowing that wasn't okay, like they have to fix why that goal went in. But like if you don't adapt that way, then we won't have any goalkeepers.
One thing I want to add on to that is that I was watching an Omar video not that long ago with him working with a younger girl, and it was just
he yelling at her.
No, that was the thing. It was like I was expecting the Pro GK Academy Omar Zini hitting these direct volleys and all the placement and stuff like that, and I just saw the smiling, happy, having a good time. She was having fun. She was rolling around in the proper way, not just rolling around. Like, I mean, there was some technique involved too. But it just showcased to me, because I'll be honest with you. I'll be straight up honest. It's like, sometimes I meet coaches who are know the game very well, and they work very well with older goalkeepers, and they get recommended for a job with a youngers program, and they get the job with a youngers program, and they can't make the adjustment.
That was me.
That was you?
I absolutely, like when I was like 22, like 23 and everything, like I did not want to touch the younger kids. Like I could not identify. And Tony DeChico, when I would do Soccer Plus camps and everything, I was 23, I had the 17-year-olds. Like I was like, I need kids that are just I can just hammer and I can just get, turn the jugs machine up to 100 and just and it took me a long time to be able to kind of understand the different levels and coach at different levels. It's not easy, and it's still a learning process. But that was me. I didn't want little kids. I didn't want little amoebas, soccers, and kids like crying behind a tree. I'm like, dude, I can't deal with you. But now.
No, but I'm with you. Saskia, I'm with you though. It's difficult to have. You can have younger kids, but once you're exposed to a higher level and your service, and like you really like my service to work on my left foot, my right foot, and like how I strike the ball. Like I'm used to striking and being with the older guys. So that's how my service is, and that's how my mindset is. And obviously there's little technical deficiencies that they have, but it's more tactical at that age group, like say 18, 19, 20, a little bit older. So the pro guys that I've worked with as well, it's like little tactical things, little decision making. It's more of a conversation versus me trying to like really make an influence or an impact. It's more of just say, let's have a conversation as to why you decided to come to that, how
right.
So that, and then the younger kids.
What do you mean you don't know how to catch a ball?
Yeah, it's difficult. They're wearing like, knock off gloves.
Get off your knees. Stop making the ball up on your knees.
But yeah, that's the. But even like through our conversations, Mike has been critical, but in a good way. The tough love that you need as a coach. And he's been telling me like when you have these conversations with these kids, their attention spans are very short. So you need to be very quick and give them substance. So for example, I try to use like the Twitter method. So when I go from like Instagram or YouTube, when I have like a huge paragraph, I try to translate that to Twitter, and I can't leave everything in there because it's too long. There's a character limit on there. So I tell myself, okay, how can I dumb this down so that how can I dumb this down so that in this 140 characters or however many it is now, it's substance based and I can obviously make sense, but it's all substance so that when you're walking away with reading the text, you go, oh crap, okay, that's an action item, that's an action item. So then you step away from it and you go, okay, now I know what to do. So I've taken that same approach to my younger kids where I used to be just strike, but now, okay, when I make a coaching point, keep it within 140 characters, keep it short, but also two, can we both leave that session with, we had these two action items, whether it was collapse diving, using your leg to crutch you to the ground and then getting back up, let's say those two little action items, can I really, from the progression 1 to whatever progression 5 or 6, can we hone in on those two things so that at least once they leave, they can go, oh, wow, okay, I learned those. And then the next time they come in, now we build off that. So now I'm doing it with a moving ball. Then I'm striking the ball over. So at least that's been my approach with younger kids is, can I have substance-oriented sessions? But also, too, with my communication, can I keep it substance as well? So that once they walk off, if it's like a quick test or I ask them a question on the next day, is like, can you rehash and kind of tell me what I said? Did you retain the information? And if they do, perfect, it's worked. And for me, it has worked. Where young kids have been like, oh, wow, I learned how to get up.
It took you some time to it took me a long time too. It wasn't like, hey, I'm Saskia Weber, World Cup soccer goalkeeper, blah, 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 and I can coach anybody. It's not true. It took me time to learn how to talk, learn how to change and deal with it. And I'm sure everybody, Mike, you guys all have the same issue. Like, we all love to come out here with pro players and strike balls and have them do this and that, and everybody respond in a second. But it doesn't, that's not what we're doing.
But and on the opposite spectrum, a lot of times I've had people come up to me and be like, "Hey, I can't believe I'd never seen you work with olders before. I didn't know you could work with college guys or pro guys or anything like that." And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, I'm a goalkeeper coach. And they go, yeah, but I've seen you working with 9s and 10s and stuff like that. I'm like, just because you can work with youngers doesn't mean that that's all you can do. Just because you can work with olders doesn't mean that's all that you can do. You just have to be able to be adaptable to the situation. I want to know how you teach a 5-year-old how to side volley though.
I didn't teach 5-year-old side volley. I just taught him. To be honest, I think my academy helped me a lot to be who I am today. Especially, I built my academy from scratch, from 2 goalkeepers to 30 goalkeepers, and it was a lot for me. I didn't hire any goalkeeper coach. I just did it by myself. And someday I was on the field 9 o'clock till 8 o'clock night, and 5 years old was a little bit different. And it was kind of, it wasn't more like coaching. It wasn't coaching, to be honest. It was more like
babysitting.
Right. Chasing him, and he's just getting away from me. And more of like how I can make him enjoy, football.
Yeah.
So for an hour or so. Yeah.
Yeah. And then luckily, like I really like young kids, really small kids. So I was good at. So, a lot of kids came to me and
we'd work great together. I'll take the old ones. You can take the younger ones.
There we go. Oh my gosh. Well, hold on. Maybe you guys have to, when all this craziness is over, maybe you guys have to go back to Japan. I know you wanted to go back to Japan for a little bit anyway, Saskia. So.
I was in Japan this past, last summer. We'll get off track right now, but I was there. I did a military tour. So we went to all the bases. Okay. And it was my first time on bases because I lived there. I lived in Hangzhou and for 3 years. So I lived there, but this was my first time on military bases, and we coached all the kids on the military bases.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was pretty awesome.
Did they all know how to hit a side volley too, like Yuta?
No, they were actually really good. They were really good players. It was, it was good. I was there with Shannon McMillan. And we had a great time, and we went all over. But at the same time, I missed being a local. I mean, off the base. I had my own apartment. I had my little cherry bicycle. I had everything, and I missed that. It was great to get back there.
Go ahead, Omar.
No, I just want to get back to what Saskia was saying earlier about like it wasn't just like, you know, you wake up and you have these incredible playing experiences and then right away you know how to handle as a coach. Like it's completely different. And I think that's what's kept me, and I'm sure you did as well, like all of us, is what's kept us in the game for so long, is because we needed that outlet and that extra void and that new challenge once our playing careers were over. And obviously we have somewhat of an idea of what a goalkeeper should look like, but now it's about how can we get our coaching personality geared towards the day-to-day struggle of you're dealing with a 5-year-old, the next day you're dealing with a 25-year-old. How are you adjusting your communication, and how are you able to like use your different tools and all the little coaching points that you know how to make? How are you able to disperse that with obviously making it a little bit more remedial for the younger kids, but at the same time too, not making it too wordy for the older kids. So it's like you're walking those fine lines between those two borders. And I think that's such a great point though, because I know a lot of people who finish playing and they have everything that their coach taught them, but then they don't know why they were taught that. And
they don't know how to coach.
Exactly. But it takes like those 2 or 3 years of trial and error to figure out, okay, for me at least it was, like I know why my coach taught me about a ball line and how to attack a ball line, but why does that even make sense? And then I started thinking about it. I'm like, oh my God, I know exactly.
And how do you explain it to somebody?
You
have to have the ability to explain it. Like you can sit there and say, oh, this is where you should be and stuff, but why? Why?
Exactly.
You have to be able to break it down. And that it doesn't happen just because you're a great goalkeeper. And I learned that. Like it doesn't. Like you have to learn. You have to, you know. And my time in Japan taught me that. Like I thought, you know, I'm great. I'm on the national team. I'm gonna go over here and play pro. Nobody can tell me anything, and I learned so much. You know.
Yeah, but I think that's the same thing too when it comes to something that I've been really big on lately. And I think the biggest thing that's come out of this whole thing is, from a coach's perspective, it's like the social and psychological, and how can we implement that into our sessions and have our goalkeepers think on their own. For the younger goalkeepers as well, they've had a lot of webinars and a lot of like different coaches from the clubs that they play for, have them sit down and say, hey, I want you to, you know, review this clip and tell me what this goalkeeper is doing wrong. Here's this clip of you in training session. Tell me why I did or why you did this and why you decided that. So now it's the cognitive side of things where we're forcing the goalkeepers to take it layer by layer by layer. And then once they're able to take it to that like furthest layer, they go, oh my God, now I know exactly why this is being used. And I think that is the biggest thing is, can we implement that as coaches to our younger goalkeepers now, so that it's the easiest, but like it's a little bit more seamless when they transfer or finish from playing, going into coaching. Can it be easier for them to understand things?
Absolutely. And Mike, I'm sure you agree on this. Like, one of my favorite things in the world is when a goalkeeper makes a mistake and they turn to me and they tell me exactly why they made the mistake.
Yep.
They'll say, my positioning was off. I was on my heels. They know exactly. I don't have to say a word. I can look at them. I can look at Finn and I go like this, and he'll be like, sorry, coach. I came out like too late. My positioning, I was on my heels, like this, not that. I don't have to say anything. I'm like, awesome. If you can self-coach and understand what you're doing right and wrong, then I've done my job.
Yeah, I want to talk about that because you know, it really is about not only being able to give information to somebody, but to make it resonate properly. So, Yuta, I want to ask you, for instance, like, do you feel that it's more important how you coach than what you coach?
Well, I think it's both of them are really important, but at the same time, how you coach is, you know, really important. So, you know, I think how you deliver your message to your player, and also we have to be on the same page. Even if you are doing the session, and obviously I know what I'm doing, but if goalkeeper doesn't know what I'm doing, that's a pointless. And there's a good conversation I had with Carl Spratt from the academy side. He said, you know, end of the session, Carl's going to ask players, goalkeepers, why we did this training today. If goalkeeper can answer that, that's coach failed, because we didn't give players enough details and information. So goalkeeper was just training for training.
I love that.
Yep.
So
I love that.
when I heard it, I was like, wow, that's so spot on. Like,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's something that I've been trying to, and I've evolved in regards to how I do it it started out as very simple when I was a younger goalkeeper coach, and okay, what did we learn today? What did you blah, blah, blah. And then as I started getting older as a goalkeeper coach, I started recognizing that like, that wasn't enough. That wasn't enough. I needed to get them thinking. And it was a conversation with Tim Dittmer, like we had, at convention, that made me think, I need to start focusing my questions more on a tactical side than a technical side. Because what I was recognizing is that I was teaching goalkeepers why they were doing things technically, but not tactically. They didn't understand why they were doing things tactically. They understood why they were doing them technically.
Right.
And that
so
isn't enough.
You were breaking things down technically, like this is how you're supposed to be, this space you could put why.
Exactly.
And that's the evolution of our position and everything like that. Look, I tell my goalkeepers, what do we do 90% of the game? We distribution. Period. Yeah. I mean, if we're catching the ball 90% of the game, then you're Timmy Howard against Belgium and the U.S. men's team has a problem on defense. But the point being is, how do we, why? Why are you doing this? Why are you in this position? Why are you telling your defense to push the ball to the right? Why? What's the point of it? And it's not just do it. We can teach kids body weight forward, how to get up off how to do a collapse dive, how to do a power dive, how to do all that. We can teach them that, but why? And it sounds like really, analytical and everything like that. But the truth of the matter is, the goalkeeper's standing back there by themselves for a long time, so they might as well have something to think about.
I start noticing a lot these days that the block save is getting really popular, say way to 1v1 save, but some goalkeeper doesn't know why you want to execute the block save technique. Exactly. It's like 10 yards away, and then they're already making a block save form.
And that's not even youth. That's MLS.
We talked about that.
Yeah.
But we talked about that, Michael, the other week. We said, why are you doing a K-save and you're 5 yards away from the person when you could have gone for a 50-50 ball and gone down hands first and saved the ball? Now, because in your mind, this is technique. This is what I'm doing. Boom, I'm going to do this. It's not the right time or the right moment to do this in. So you have to be a thinking goalkeeper.
And that the block save is actually one of the reasons that it made me start thinking in that mindset, because I was recognizing people getting berated for doing a block save as opposed to understanding when you use something and why you use something. And that's when I started realizing, I was like, okay, this is, and you saw the breakdowns that I sent you for Friday for the session on Friday in regards to the 1v1s. And I think I think that's just the evolution of the position as a modern goalkeeper coach. Is we really need to understand ourselves personally, the game, and then second of all, how to convey the tactical reading of the game. Because here's the thing: is and we talk about this. Is so I always say, we want a thinking goalkeeper, like people were saying with the Tim Dittmer episode, want a thinking goalkeeper, but we don't teach them how to think. And if they don't understand the tactics, they're not going to be able to do it. Real quickly, go ahead, Yuta.
So one of the things that I noticed is that everyone's doing side volley nowadays. But for me, why you want to use side volley rather than high pant kick? And for me, there's so many ways to do side volleys. Maybe you can bounce off in front of the players, or maybe you can side volley into their chest, or side volley to their head to flick it, or side volley to the space. Or maybe depends on the time, you want to kick the ball as fast as you can, or maybe you can simply roll it out. So for me, it's like you said, exactly.
It's why. Yeah, and I tell my goalkeepers the same thing, and I actually break it down to the point of look at the spin on the ball. Okay, if the wind's coming at you, you're not going to want to punt the ball. You're going to want to do a side volley. You're going to want to do a drop kick because there's a backspin on the ball. It'll cut the wind. It'll chop into the wind. There are different reasons for everything. It's not just because you can do it. Right. How can you deliver this ball? What's the circumstances? Where is it trying to go? I love us.
I want to direct this question to Omar, but it just came in the comment board right here. And then everybody else can open up it as well too. Wesley Bernard, who's a goalkeeper coach at Atlanta United in the academy over there, he asks if we have any advice for coaches with their communication style in regards to what do you like guided questions, brevity with coaching points, coaching in the flow. How do you check for understanding with goalkeepers before, during, and after sessions? So I'm going to start off with Omar.
So something that I've heard different methods, but obviously the one that I've tried to do more lately is to spend like the first 1 or 2 sessions that I have with each goalkeeper. I do a lot of private sessions, so maybe it won't answer his question because I do like private groups. So not in like a club setting where I see them every day. But what I'll do is I'll film the session. And once I film the session, I'll get certain notes. So I'll say, Mike, you need to work on your hand shape. You need to work on seeing the ball all the way through and finishing the progression before you throw the ball back to me, before you go to the next one. So I create the language and the understanding of different verbiage that I'm going to use on the fly. So I'll say, as I volley the ball to you, or I'll hit a ball to you in the midst of you moving on to the next part, I'll say, Mike, finish the progression. And you already know right away what that means. So I don't have to coach you anymore. I don't have to say too much. You already know what that means because now you have the visual aid and the mental recall to think back and specifically what I'm looking for. So I think that's the best way to do it because, if you're in a group setting, it's hard to create a foundation of like communication with somebody when there's other goalkeepers waiting in line, because obviously you want to keep the flow of the session. It's super important, but it does take that little bit of kind of a push by you to get that film out there and then send those clips to the goalkeepers or spend like 5-10 minutes prior where you can save those 5-10 minutes in a session, use those 5 or 10 before the session or after the session to discuss it. So that's what I've done. And that's what I think has worked. But I also know my friend, Jonathan Lamelli, he works at the LA Galaxy, a good friend of mine. And goalkeepers that I've worked with him, they say that throughout the session, let's say they finish, each progression or they finish each section, they all come into it as a group, like 3 or 4 of them, they get their water, they relax. But in the little group, he asked them, hey, Mike, how did you feel like you did? And Mike, you could say, I thought I did well, but maybe I could have killed the ball a little bit, tighter in a smaller space. And the next person will tell you exactly what they felt they could have done better. So now everybody's sharing ideas as to what they saw from themselves. And now you're picking ideas off everybody else. So I like his method as well. And the goalkeepers that I've worked with him, their response to me was, yes, it takes a minute or two because we're drinking water, but it's super important to get that feedback so that once we step in, we already know exactly what to look for, not with ourselves, but also what other goalkeepers have said as well.
Yuta, do you ever use that method?
Me? That's what said?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do, to be honest. Every time we do have progressive sessions, and every time when we get the water break, I just go down to the players and obviously ask them. And obviously, we have to be on the same page. And also we use the same goalkeeper terminology. And I can't just use the terminology. And I want them to use the same terminology that we share. Maybe this terminology doesn't work for field player, but within the goalkeeper union, goalkeeper practice, or within my goalkeepers, when I said this one, they understand exactly what I meant.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, totally. I wait as well. Like I said before, like I wait for the water break. I wait. Like, we're doing the drill. We do. Because like there's maybe like if you're in a drill or something like that, let's see if they make up for the mistake they just made. Let's see if they can figure out themselves. Like instead of, like I said, micromanaging or joysticking or whatever you want to call it, like they know they just got scored on. They know they screwed up. So let me see if they adjust it. And if they don't, and they keep repeating the same mistake, then on a water break, I'm going to have a conversation. We're going to talk about it. And I'm going to ask and put the ball in their court. And that's the communication like I try to have in the dialogue, because it's a teaching moment as opposed to like, the kid's in line with a bunch of kids and you just degrade them.
Yeah.
That's all they're thinking about. They're embarrassed. And they're not going to focus on the coaching that you just gave them, other than the fact they're embarrassed in front of their kids. And so I try to look, trust me, I'm not nice. I'm not trying to say it like, it's all cupcakes and flowers, but it's just, there's timing with everything with communication. Yeah. And right. That's what's important.
I love the fact. Go ahead, Omar.
No, I think also to add on that, I think it's super important where, like I was talking to Andy Grunenbaum a few days ago. He and I had a phone call, and we were talking about like our personalities and how we like to have fun and we like to joke around. But obviously, once we step onto the field, that is when the serious nature of coaching for us comes into play. So it's important too, like Saskia said, like you can be nice, but my coach at Cal State LA showed me this. He said you can obviously have a specific tone, but there's going to be a time where you're going to need to pull something out of your back pocket that they've never seen before.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the card that you need to play so that they really understand that you're not playing around. But if you're always so high strung and up here, no matter what you say, tonality shift, temperament shift, nothing will adjust how they react because you've already set the bar so high for them. So how about you fluctuate up, down, so now they don't know what to expect from you. But also too, in a game, their teammates shut them out after making a mistake. How are they going to react? So in a session, if you constantly berate them and give them feedback after every drop or after every mistake, how are they going to have those 2-3 minutes to recover? They're not going to be exposed to that. So expose them to that by, yeah, you made a mistake. Okay, whatever. Next person in line. Well, coach, what happened? Why did I do that?
We'll
just get back in line. Next.
See if you can figure it out. See if you can figure it out. Because I can't be in the goal with you for those first 45 minutes. So if you make that mistake, like I can yell from you from the sideline, which I would do, but it's on you now to figure it out. It's on you not to make the same mistake again. It's on you. I've given you the tools during the week in practice. Now it's your turn to figure it out. So if I'm constantly telling you, I hate this. If I'm saying, oh, so-and-so, pass the ball here, like field coaches do it more than goalkeeper coaches. Pass the ball here, pass the ball there. I'm like, oh my God, let the kids make their own decision. And let them figure out that the decision was wrong. And then figure out that that decision was right. And then learn from it. Like that's, come on.
No, I love the fact that everybody's been bringing up timing, because that was what I was trying to get at in the rundown in regards to, is it more important how you teach than what you teach? Because I think that one of the problems is that you can give the same message at different times and it'll resonate completely differently based on when you give that message. And Yuta, I want to ask you this because we just had this come across right here from the comment board. Audrey Atkinson asks, how do you help keepers move on after a poor training performance? Because this is different than a game performance.
Right. So I always tell my goalkeepers, I expect mistake from my goalkeepers, because there's no one, even a professional stage, there's no one's that finished product, and including myself. So for me, whatever happens in a practice or game, how you bounce back, and how you respond to that. And maybe you have a bad day in a training, but you're going to maintain or keep your head down for the next day or 2 days, a week. So I think it's important for us to teach them, you're not the finished product.
Agreed.
So expect, obviously, like I expect myself to make a lot of mistakes, but for me, what's important for me is if I'm going to make the same mistake again, or if I'm going to have the bad day again. So I think that's really important. How you respond to that.
Yeah. Right. How do you respond from it? Like, exactly. It's like, that's what practice is for. That's why we have practice.
Absolutely.
But so many kids treat it like it's the game, like they freak out.
It's not. It's what practice is for. And guess what? That's why it's repetition, and that's why this is happening. And it's whether it's on the field player side or the goalkeeper side, and it's over and over again. And you're going to make mistakes, and then hopefully you learn from those mistakes, and you'll make them again, and then you won't make them again, and it gets less and less and less. And then when we get to a game, you won't make the mistake. That's the blame.
Absolutely.
But that's practice.
Exactly.
Get over it.
And then whenever, when that happens in the game, if you get scored on, how you bounce back? Yeah, you're going to keep your head down and not talking to your defender, or just don't think, not think about next move. For me, like it has to come from a practice. Whenever something happens, it has to come to the game session as well. Just because, you're having a good day doesn't mean you're going to have a good game, and just because you're having a bad day doesn't mean you're going to have a bad game and good game. So
Yeah, no, and I look at like players and I'm like, okay, you're having a bad practice and you put your head down. Now every single person on that field sees your head down. Right. So now if we're playing small side or if we're doing a shooting drill or something like that, I'll take UCLA into account at this. Everybody's gonna be like biting at the bit right now because you've got your head down. Everybody sees you got your head down. You're not like shrug it off, and you know, re-engage. But instead you have your head down. Now Mia's looking at you and she's like, oh, I'm just going to start unloading. You know what I mean? I'm just going to shoot and I'm just going to bury you because I'm working on my shooting and your head's down and you're just going to get blown in the back of the net. And I'm not worried about that. I'm not sitting here going like, oh, I'm so sorry if you're upset. I'm going to blow you into the back of the net because I see it. So how are you going to react? You know, you made a mistake.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Omar, I want to ask you this because, by the way, the head down thing, I'm picturing, this is the Eeyore goalkeeper. We found our Eeyore is the head down goalkeeper. I don't know if this is something you've ever used, Omar, in regards to when you're working with privates and groups and stuff like that. But I've been starting to try to tell kids that, you know, you're going to get scored on during these activities in these sessions, because otherwise you're never going to know how to deal with it in the game. Because if you don't deal with the failure of it right now and understand why you're doing something, again, getting back to that why, you know, when you get into the game, you're never going to be able to accomplish your goal. Any thoughts on that?
No, I think I definitely have changed my tone on that. And again, like Yuta, like I'm excited to be on the field because there's like, I have notebooks of information that I've just been writing down and I'm ready to be out there to just try new things. Again, like I take everything for face value. So if it's something that Mike told me, I'm not going to say that's exactly what I'm going to do no matter what. I want to try it and see if it works and see if it resonates with me as a coach and my personality, if that's what I want to do. And so one of the things that I heard was from Paul Rogers. And again, it was like his kind of ruthless mentality of, you know, you make a mistake on the last rep, who cares? Next person go. You know, in a game, no one's going to sugarcoat it. No one's going to say, oh, you dropped the ball between your legs, go another rep, let's finish on a clean one. No one's going to do that. So I think hearing that kind of stuff to me is important because at Cal State LA, my goalkeepers can attest. I had 5 keepers last year in our setting. So I had to kind of try and make all these 5 goalkeepers happy and keep them all happy. So we all know this. If one person is not on their game, doesn't know how to finish, one of those goalkeepers is going to have a really crappy rep. So they're not going to be feeling like they got actual quality repetitions. So there were times where our goalkeepers would make one save, and then on a rebound, one of our goalkeepers was very, very ruthless. He would come in and strike the ball as if he's trying to play kickball and hit a ball over the fence, strike it into the goal and really put it in there. And I would yell at him. I would say, hey man, like, why are you doing that? We're here to help one another. Put it on frame. Let's try and make these guys better. But I think after hearing Paul Rogers and hearing all the little coaching points that I've heard about, you know, exposing our goalkeepers to the reality of the game, I've changed my idea of going, you know what, that kid was onto something. Yeah, maybe don't blow the kid's head off, but maybe we place it into the bottom of the net, put it in the goal, so at least the goalkeeper knows that maybe I should have parried it in a better position. Maybe I could have used a different technique in this situation. So I think that is something that I've taken from this quarantine, is understanding when and how to express that kind of ruthlessness to your goalkeepers. And again, having them understand the grand scheme of things and what the picture we're trying to paint and why, as a coach, I'm asking certain things from them.
I think it's a progression. I think, well, if you're going through a training session and stuff like that, like, you know, I'll get the forwards and stuff like that, and I'll be like, I need you to train the keeper right now. Like, we're in warm up. I need to hit it in the bubble. I need you to. I don't ping every freaking shot into the upper 90. I'm trying to warm up the keepers right now. So, and then as we evolve from that, then bury him. And I'll look at the forwards for UCLA, and I'll turn around and be like, bury him. You know, I've been here 45 minutes. They're ready to go. Here's, you know, bury him. That's just the end of it. Do what you would do in a game speed, everything, bury them, because that's what they need. That's where we are right now.
You guys have made me think of something, and you to go ahead. I was just going to say that it makes me think about the fact that the punishment aspect of, like, if you are trying to teach kids why they're doing something, if they don't do it, they need to see what the repercussions are going to be, right?
Well, yeah, but you can't just, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I really like having my goalkeeper serve the ball. And, you know, just because they're not perfect. They can't serve the ball perfectly, but it's really game realistic. When you're gonna get the perfect finishing in a game situation. For me, as a goalkeeper coach, that's our job to serve perfectly. But when it comes to server for the goalkeepers, they're working on it. That's what makes everything so realistic. So, and obviously what matters for me is that I want them to focus on distributing, but at the same time, like I said, it's not going to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
No, I don't like those goalkeepers. Yeah. I don't like the stories I hear about goalkeepers that are like, they're warming up, they're taking balls, and somebody shakes the ball. Like they won't go like a shuffle to the right to catch the ball. That's like, look, if you're shanking the ball into the upper 90 or over the goal when I'm telling you to put it in their bubble, that's working on your skills as well. I'm telling you where to direct this ball. I'm saying I need you to put it in this area, and you should be able to do it as a field player or as another goalkeeper, right? Then if you want to put the ball in the upper 90, then put it in the upper 90. So that's skill work as well. But any goalkeeper that's sitting, like I've had it done to myself, but any goalkeeper's like, well, I'm not, you're supposed to be giving me the ball in my hands. I'm like, take a step to the right and catch the ball. Like, what's wrong? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not perfect.
I can't stand it. I can't stand kids that either freeze up or they give up on the rep because it's not where they expected. And this is what I've been telling kids over and over and over again, is that there's never going to be such a thing as a perfect strike on goal in a game. There's going to be all sorts of different variables that take place in that. Absolutely. And if you can't deal and improvise in the moment, one of the things I love about Allison Becker is that he can improvise within the moment. He's a very technically clean goalkeeper, but at the same time, when he makes a mistake and he has to make an adjustment, he can improvise in that moment based on what he knows.
Exactly. What are you setting yourself up to do?
Yeah.
Right.
What are you setting? Are you setting yourself up mentally to say, okay, I think that I'm going to have to come. This is my favorite. I think that this corner kick, I'm going to have to box. Yeah. And so, you got that kid that runs out there and they're going to box the ball because that's what they've made the decision to do, when you could have just caught the ball. And
that's
yeah, go ahead, Omar.
No, I think that's one thing that I definitely, like Mike just said about Allison, I think that's one thing that I've grown as a spectator and grown as to how I watch games now. And if you haven't seen, but most of the time after a goalkeeper has just made a mistake, I'll tweet or I'll put something on my Instagram story of like, watch how this goalkeeper reacts. Let's see what their mentality is like. Do they start changing the way they distribute the ball? Do they have a fear? And that's something that Richard Wright, who is a former Man City goalkeeper coach, he said to Joe Hart on his podcast was like, the fact that Ederson can make a mistake by coming out and misjudging a ball and then 5 minutes later do the exact same thing and then actually succeed at that is something that young goalkeepers need to understand. And there's so many different layers that come into those decisions that I think a lot of kids watch the block save, the side volley, and like you said, they don't know the proper context to use those things. So that's my challenge to the younger goalkeepers, and myself included, is when I watch these games, don't get caught up in the hype, don't get caught up in the flash. Understand the layers that you need to peel to understand the reason why Saskia used that killing technique. Yes, obviously she probably, could she have scooped it? Maybe, that's how we're taught. Great. But there's a reason why she killed it there, because that ball was spinning. Maybe she was off balance. So can we understand the reasoning? Right. Yeah, see the reasoning why these goalkeepers are doing those things, so that we understand when you're in those situations, you understand why you could do something like that as well, something similar. So that's what I would say, is understanding the layers to decisions that goalkeepers make. Don't just get caught watching the flash.
No, I agree.
One thing I want to say, and I know we've been going for about an hour now, so we'll start wrapping up, is that one thing that I've learned of as I've matured as a goalkeeper coach is
you've matured.
I've matured a little bit, vaguely, depending on who you talk to. If you talk to anybody in this house, I have not matured at all. I have not matured at all. From a goalkeeper coach,
dad's? I'm
still at my dad's. At some point, they'll raise that stay-at-home order, right? Well, at some point, I'll get back. I've learned how to not, because I used to have a really bad habit of berating goalkeepers when they didn't do things the way I wanted to see them do it. And as I started getting older as a goalkeeper and started recognizing what really matters and what doesn't matter. And Tony DiCicco, the late great Tony DiCicco, said this to me, and it made me change my thinking. He said, "Did they keep it out of the net?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Then why are you berating them? Why are you getting at them?" He said, "They just did their job." And now, do you see what you're doing to this goalkeeper?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to expect negative feedback every single time they make a final action because it's never good enough for you. And it really made me change how I coached. And this was probably about, 13, 14 years ago. And it was like, wow. I mean, that is so true. And that's what was part of the evolution of my coaching style, was to be a little bit more understanding and empathetic.
Tony was just the best that way, and just thoughtful and bringing that out of you. I'm so thankful that he was my coach. And yeah, number one, do you think if the goalkeeper makes a mistake, do you think they don't know they made a mistake?
Yeah.
And I say the same thing to the field players. Really? The ball's in the back of the net. You think they don't know they made a mistake? Number two, I don't care if you save it with your ear. Did it not go in the goal? Great. We'll deal with that in practice later. Your technique, but it's not in the goal. Okay. And, and then you've got to teach. You've got to explain. You can't just berate somebody. You can't they know they messed up. They know there's a goal. They know that. Now teach. Now let them learn why and break it down. Don't break them down. Break the situation down so it doesn't happen again.
That's a really good point. Don't break them down, but break the situation. That's awesome. I want to write that down. That's awesome.
I have so many T-shirts at this point. You just keep selling them.
Be careful. Omar's going to put that on his Instagram. It'll become a trademark thing. Before we go, guys, Yuta and everybody here, what advice, but especially you, Yuta, because you've been progressing in the game pretty quickly in regards to the last year from player to, because you recently just finished playing and then you went straight into youth and college, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I finished my college 2015 and went to Sweden to play for 2.5 years and came back 18. So literally, like a few years ago, I stopped playing.
Man, so you are literally.
Why did you decide to stop?
So obviously, there's an international spot in Sweden as well. And me came from Japan. They always ask me if I have European passport, and obviously I didn't. And obviously, I was 26, and I told my parents that if I didn't get any big offer from any teams, I think this is it. And at the end of the season, I got the offer from Central Arkansas, which is in Division 1 in Arkansas. And, first I said no, to be honest, because I wanted to play. But at the same time, Ross Duncan, from head coach from Central Arkansas, kept, talking to me, and he convinced me, and that was like, 26, I'm going to be young goalkeeper coach, but, when it gets maybe 5 years, 10 years later, hopefully I can be the best goalkeeper coach in the world, or maybe the state.
That's Omar's.
Omar's already got that title. He already told me.
Omar's the best goalkeeper coach in the world.
The second best, I'd say.
Damn.
That was too easy. No, I love it. So you decided to take that path, and I think that's brilliant. And I agree.
Right.
Like at 26 years old, by the time you're 30, like your education in this is going to be incredible.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And by the way, Yuta, a lot of people have been, and one of the reasons why you're on this show, man, a lot of people have been vouching for you. I mean, I know you reached out and wanted to be on the show and all that, but like people, I was like, what's the deal with Yuta? And people are like, oh, dude, this guy.
I see the. I love me some Yuta.
Yeah, people love you.
I don't know. I can't see the comments, whatever. But,
that's okay. You don't want to.
Yeah, that's something really, I don't know, really, how to say, I really focus on, or relationship with my friends and people that I met is like huge for me. who I am today is just because of the people that I met. And there's friends in all over the place just because I played in college in US. So that way I got to meet a lot of people, and obviously they're professional soccer player or professional in some different fields. And obviously I have friends in Sweden or like back home, and those relationships that I have are important for me. So,
yeah. No, I mean, do you ever see, and I'm sorry, I just had this question right now for myself personally. Like, do you ever see yourself coaching in Japan? Would you ever see yourself going back?
What, in the J League?
Yeah, like whenever, if I get any offers, yes, I'd love to, because that's where my family is, and I haven't seen my family for, I'll say, 4 years now.
Oh.
And obviously all my friends are there, and I miss, like Saskia, I miss Japanese food.
I do. You owe me. We're going for okonomiyaki.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's something I had a conversation with Phil within. So I asked him if he get the opportunity to coach for England national team goalkeeper coach, and he said for sure 100%.
Yeah.
And I was the same. Like, if I get opportunity to coach for professional league in Japan or national team in Japan, like, that's my dream.
Yeah, I mean, and there's something to be said. Like, look, I miss Japan. Look, I'm American, obviously, and part Dutch, by the way. I have my dual citizenship. But, yeah, I mean, like, there's something to be said about that connection, about going home.
Right.
Even when I went back to Japan, I lived there for 3 years, and when I went back this summer, like, I missed it. There's certain things you miss, so I can't imagine what you miss. And like, I know that they're restarting the women's league next year and everything, and so the opportunities will be through the roof. And to be able to, period, any of us, to be able to coach on our home soil, for me to be able to do what I'm doing in New Jersey, in Princeton and stuff like that, would be amazing. I'd be around my family and my brother and everything like that, and my nephews and stuff like that. So I get it.
Well, when you become the goalkeeper coach for the U.S. national team.
Who, me?
Yeah, you. Sure, not going to be me. I'll tell you that. They'll look at me and they'll be like, I don't know about this guy. He wears the same hat.
Like, who, me?
He's on the same hat. He's on the same hat every time.
If that happens, I'll come into pregame matches, and I'll serve left-footed outswingers for you.
There you go.
You need a left-footer out there.
Yeah, I need it.
I do the sidewinder.
There you go.
Yeah,
I got my whole staff right here. I got my whole staff. And Mike, you're doing all the analysis.
Oh no, yeah, I'll just do snide. I'll just do snide remarks on into a camera.
I love your faith in me, you guys. I love that.
Hey, look, like, I mean, let's be honest with you. I mean, like, look at all the experience that you've had, and the fact that you're so humble in regards to the fact that you consider yourself still open to learning and becoming a better coach, despite your accolades as a player. I mean, the UCLA women are in very good hands. And I'm only saying the UCLA women because that's the team that you're currently coaching.
I know.
But Saskia, I think I honestly, to everybody here, I think it's from your experience level, the fact that you're so open to discussing the game and all that stuff. I mean, we've spoken to a lot of people already who are very like-minded like that, but it's mainly like the coaches who didn't really have like the biggest playing careers. So the fact that you had the experience that you had, and you're like as humble as you are with your approach to things, it's like, yes, nothing's going to be given to me. I need to kind of like earn my stripes too. It's
Absolutely.
huge. I think
I realized immediately from club, I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Erase that soundbite.
No, it's fine. I could coach a goalkeeper, that was fine. But when I was offered to like take a team over, I was like, oh God, no. And so the reason I learned how to coach the little ones is they stuck me into junior academy, and I had little kids like peeing behind a tree and biting each other, and I was like sitting there just like, oh my God, what the hell am I doing? But I'm open to all of that, and we all have to be. And as coaches,
Absolutely.
like, we all have to be. Everything's changing. The game is not what it was when I played. It's not. It's stronger. It's faster. It's different. And if I don't adapt with that, and if I don't grow with that, then I'm stuck in the old ages and I'm never going to be a good coach. And I have to learn, and I have to learn from all of you guys and everything else. I'm not benefiting anybody.
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think one thing that you brought up in regards to how the game's changed, and I'm going to give, Yuta a shout out for this in regards to when you put out their different formations on your Twitter feed and you had the one before all the shapes was fantastic, because I think that really is the game now. The goalkeeper is so much more tactically involved in the game now than they were in the past.
Yeah, so
I'll make you all laugh really quick.
Okay.
I was able to.
I didn't even know what the hell the 1, the 10, the 6, the 5, the 8, and the 9, and all that meant. I had to have Melissa write that down for me a couple years ago. I'm like, what the hell is everybody talking about? I'm like outside midfield, center back. Like I'm like, I didn't learn that way. That's not how I learned. There are names to positions. I'm like the 1, the 9, the 2, the 8. Now the kids, that's how they talk. And I'm just like, oh my God, I have my little chart. And I'm like, what are they talking about? Like, okay. So that'll give you an example. Okay.
Yuta, go on.
Yeah, so I was actually doing analysis for goalkeepers, and I was watching goalkeeper from 2002 World Cup. When I was watching Oliver Kahn, he was constantly standing in front of 6. And when I saw Iker Casillas, maybe it was 2008 to 10, he was a little bit higher. And then Neuer comes a little bit different level. And then now, Julian Pollersbeck from, I think, Hamburg SV, he's like literally right next to center back. So obviously, game is constantly evolving, and we have to find out like who's our goalkeeper is. Maybe he's generation 1 or like Oliver Kahn goalkeeper. Maybe he is Julian Pollersbeck from Hamburg SV. So that's what I put 1-4-4-2 or whatever, because goalkeeper matters to Saka now, not just not for just saving the game, saving the ball.
Right. And it depends on the system you're playing. Like
absolutely.
Different goalkeepers work in different systems, and some don't work in certain systems, which is why you see goalkeepers get traded from teams. And when new coaches come in, they have different philosophies, and the goalkeeper doesn't work into it. And we're that much involved. We're not just standing. We're not a cone back there, just standing there saving shots.
Yeah.
So 100%.
Before we go, guys, I want to ask everybody here, what advice do you guys give young coaches who are still trying to find their style of coaching, or understanding why they're saying something, let's just say?
Know what the 1, the 9, the 8, the 10. No, I'm just kidding. Learn. Don't ever think you know it all. Don't ever think you've experienced enough, because you haven't. I've won a World Cup. I've been in the Olympics. I've done all that. I've been in 2 World Cups and everything, and I still don't know a damn thing. I'm learning. I'm growing, and if you can open yourself up to that and keep your mind open to that, then you'll be a great coach. But if you think for 1 second you know everything and your way is the highway, then take a hike.
Then you were Omar Zini's Cal State LA.
Yeah, for me, I think it's important to have a mentor. I think who you can admire to. For me, it was John Bush. I was fortunate enough to work with John, and that was eye-opening. Everything what he did, everything what he said was wow. Attention to details, and it was something. And also, I think you have to, for me, I want to tape every single session that I do and revisit again after the session or after a week. Maybe, then you can find, maybe you could have done this way, or maybe, okay, this one works. So maybe this one can be even better, but how? And also, always ask yourself, how do I get better? And how do I produce, top goalkeeper? So know who you are, know who you have, and know what you want to do. I think that's important.
Omar, anything you want to add on? Final thoughts?
Yeah, and I think, like you said, it's so important to have mentors and people that you can look up to, because our goalkeeper coaches when we were growing up, those are the people who are more or less our mentors, because we spent so much time with them and they taught us so much. So again, Mike, I'm not shy of saying it. You're one of my mentors in the game right now, and like our conversation. No, it is. I mean, we have a lot. I'm sorry, we have a lot of conversations, and we spent a lot. We went to Arizona twice. We have about 24 hours on the road. But no, just like the conversations that we have, it's like don't be afraid to have your methods and things that you do challenged. And I think that's the number one way to expedite your growth. And I think it's a lot of things that hindered me and a lot of other coaches as well, because we have our ego when we step into the game and we want to solidify ourselves as a major player in the game. And I think that's something that I had to really be patient about, and understanding that the worst that can come from it is somebody says something and you don't like what they say, but you also reflect on it and go, that's a good point, but I'm still going to go with my way. The best thing that could happen is someone says something to you and you go, whoa, that is not even something I ever had on my radar. Thank you, Mike, for telling me that. And now you flip it completely. So I think that is just allow yourself to be vulnerable. And once you're vulnerable, whether it's a mentor, whether it's somebody who is in your life that watches you intently and understands your personality, they give you feedback, take that, run with it. And then from there, now you can actually have different voices that come into you because you've consulted, and now you have a better ability to make a decision that's going to be based off of actual facts and other voices versus just what's stuck in your head. I think that has been the major impact on my my coaching career. And Mike, I mean, Mike already knows that.
No, but I said this. I agree with you. It's the same thing to Mike. I asked him to step in a couple weeks ago for the Bulls session because I wasn't used to running a session on Zoom, and I was feeling kind of a little trepidatious about it. Like I was like I'm not sure how to manage this and stuff like that. I was like, will you jump on? Like help me navigate this. This is new to me. I got Brady Bunch screen going on and everything. But I wanted to see somebody that had been doing it. And if you humble yourself and you're open, I reach out to Blodgett. I reach out to Bill Steffen. I reach out to these coaches that are my coaches and my mentors, and I ask them for help and I ask them for ideas. And I'm like, I'm kind of stuck. You have to be able to humble yourself. You have to be able to do that. It doesn't matter all the awards. It doesn't matter the jerseys. It doesn't matter any of that. If you're going to be a teacher, you have to be able to reach out and ask for help. Period.
Absolutely.
Office is looking great though, Sask. Office is looking solid. It's looking solid.
Shannon's home. So.
Well, on that note, guys, I honestly don't know what to say.
He's all smiles now.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I have a feeling when this is going to be edited, it's just going to be like, Mike's great.
I feel the opposite. It's for me. It's I always try to make it about the. And I think that's one of the things I try to do as a teacher too, is I try to make it about the process rather than the individual. So I appreciate it, guys. But at the same time, I learned from both of you guys as well too.
Well, somebody owes me a kanmiyaki.
Right.
That's
I'm going to hold you to that.
Yuta's got to teach him how to hit that side volley like you. I mean, I saw Omar's side volley.
I don't need it. I just need a kanmiyaki. I'm like, once you have a kanmiyaki, you won't care about the side volley.
I miss home so much.
I think we're going to start wrapping this one up. Guys, remember, guys, guest suggestion, topic suggestion, contact at Inside the 18. That's the number 18media.com or at Goalkeeper Podcast on social media platforms. Please keep rating, reviewing, and subscribing. You know what? Since this is the day of everyone just giving back and just talking about how great I am, here's a review from somebody. This is from somebody that says, great tool for any goalkeepers/goalkeepers out there. 5 stars. And it goes, always enjoy listening to Majid, Omar, Saskia's conversation about goalkeepers and goalkeeping. from goalkeeper's perspective and goalkeeper coach perspective. You'll learn so much from them. And also they always have their guest speaker, which makes even more entertaining. I recommend to anyone who's not only playing as a goalkeeper, but also soccer fans and those who want to be a goalkeeper. And that comes, I wonder who that could be. That comes from Yuta Nomura. So like
Yuta, you're amazing.
You're amazing, man. Like you were saying, oh, I'm a fan of the show. You really are a fan of the show.
Yeah, I'm not. It's not just I'm saying to you guys. Literally, like I've been listening to you guys for a long time. So that's why I got this, idea as an offer. I was like, wow, such an honor.
No, I can't wait. You got a great career ahead of you.
Yeah, man.
Whether you get back in your coaching in Japan, or if we're blessed to have you stay here and coach in America.
Absolutely.
I look forward to watching it. That's for sure.
And by the way, just kind of to end on this tip in regards to last week, we were talking about, finding, meeting goalkeepers from all different walks of life. I really love just seeing that, goalkeepers from Japan, goalkeepers from, France, goalkeepers from Mexico, all these people coming together and learning to become a goalkeeping community rather than, than everyone kind of staying in their own ways, but everybody trying to learn from each other, I think is absolutely phenomenal. So really excited, that you're.
God, it's just been a big love fest today.
I know that you've been sharing here. Yuta, if anybody wants to reach out to you and offer you the job for the national team, where's the best place to reach out to you?
Maybe outside Twitter, Instagram.
Okay. Well, and what is that? It's the handle right now.
Winnie the Youth.
Winnie the Utes.
I was going to say, you can reach me at I love Eeyore and Piglet. Stop throwing them in the corner.
Okay. You can reach Omar at best goalkeeper in the world, goalkeeper coach in the world.
You can reach Mike at Tigger.
You can reach me at Tigger. And you can reach out at Saskia at opinionated.
Always.
All right, guys, that's all the time on Inside the 18. We're out. Later, guys.
Vegas.
See you guys.
All right. Well, guys, I just ended the stream there. Yuta, honestly, thanks so much for coming on, man. Yeah, that was
really appreciate it of both of you, and I've been following you guys like really since I came back to the States. And when Omar, when you posted the Danish stats, I had a goalkeeper from Denmark, and he literally catches it like that, and I never fixed that because it works perfectly. Yeah. So
I feel you, man.
Dude, you actually commented about that, didn't you? On the feed.
Right.
Yeah,
I did.
Yeah.
So obviously, I'm gonna keep listening to you guys and watching you guys. So like, keep what you guys doing, and yeah.
No, well, thanks, man.
Right.
And I think would be really interesting for you, Yuta, is Omar does the podcast, the Pro GK podcast, where he actually really talks to people about how their background made them who they are today. So I think you should definitely check that out. Actually, you guys might want to connect about that, because this is a different type of story than
for sure.
A lot of them.
Well,
I don't know, because when I look at the your podcast, all the goalkeeper coaches that you've been interviewing is like.
You're on your way, dude. You're on your way, though, dude.
The thing is, it's like you do interviews with like EPL, or you show EPL highlights. That's one thing, but when you show like USL, MLS highlights, the players that are listening are more likely to, like coaches that are listening are more likely to follow your pathway and what you do. So I think I have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday booked this week, but early next week we should try and do one Instagram live, and then just connect on that. And I think I said Mike taught me this too. Is like a lot of these kids, they don't understand that these are the people you should be watching, because these are the ones who are probably being coached by similar coaches, and also to the mentors. Like John Bush is like a huge influence for a lot of us. You know what I mean? So it's
yeah. I mean,
definitely.
And and also I think too, like honestly, Yuta, like I think it'd be a cool piece in regards to just when kids in Japan see you here and going like, oh, this isn't. They might not even think that that's a pathway that's even a possibility for them, So
that's the interesting thing. When I got here 2011, I was the I think only 2 Japanese players played in college, and
wow,
one is right now he is in Toronto, Tsubasa, and then now when you look at the pathway or Japanese people in college, there's 100,000 of soccer players from Japan in college. A lot of kids from Japan actually contact me and how US college system works, and they ask me like if they want to be MLS player, so what they need to do. And I'm really glad that I'm able to help them and kind of, I wouldn't say pioneer for Japanese kids coming to the States, but
on the pathway.
Yeah,
right. So obviously I want a lot of Japanese kids to come to the States and grab the, I'll say, American dream,
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Oh, all right, guys. Well, I'm gonna start cutting this up. And dude, honestly, this was really great, man. I hope you guys connect. And I'll let you know. I'll tag you on all the stuff when we start posting it.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much.
Cool, man. Later.
Take care, guys.
All right.
Bye. Bye.